この作戦はアスカルシア警察の特別要請によって行われます。ギャングの名前はカリカルテル。
準備完了。
So, I was having a thought. Someone recently commented on my last alien rogue incursion video. Thank you for all the support on that video, by the way. The comments and the support for that video have been tremendous. Anyways, he was asking when Rogue Incursion would be coming to Xbox Series X. The immediate answer, of course, is never, because Microsoft has some strange aversion to VR. I remember Phil Spencer speaking on the matter a few years ago and stating definitively that he had no interest in pursuing that as an option, but it still got the wheels turning, because the unfortunate curse that every hardcore VR player carries is to ponder the potential of VR and how much it could revolutionize gaming as a whole. Stated frankly, what a phenomenal waste it is that Xbox has no place in the VR space, and can be added to the tally of blunders on the management of the Xbox as a brand and competitor in the gaming arena. I say this as a gaming purist. I have no intrinsic loyalty to Sony that would compel me to bash on Xbox for the fun of it. During the third generation, I was a Nintendo 64 kid. I had both a PS2 and a GameCube, and spent countless hours playing split-screen and LAN matches in the original Halo. During the 7th generation, I played almost exclusively on the 360, but I go where the gaming is kicking, and when it comes to gaming, Xbox has been floundering in my eyes for over a decade. I can still vividly remember watching the reveal of the Xbox One with such anticipation, only to end up shifting my focus to the PS4 by the time that E3 came to an end. Hell, I have an Xbox Series S right now, and I never play it. But imagine an alternate timeline where Microsoft took that leap in VR like Sony did. Imagine the Xbox taking the Kinect and selling it as an integral component of their VR setup. Bundle the Kinect with a headset, so players could have full body tracking coupled with a VR experience, and thereby offering something unique in the VR landscape. Imagine all the dormant and dying IPs that could be revitalized by that VR magic. Especially if VR was incorporated to a serious degree into the Xbox brand. Every Xbox release could be fully playable in both flat screen and VR. Halo would be incredible in VR. The scale of battling a Covenant spider tank, jumping into a drop pod as an ODST, and creeping through the streets of Mombasa, and battling the Flood up close and personal would translate so well into VR. Gears of War would be perfect in VR. The sheer scale of the game, especially during those set pieces, would be jaw-dropping in a headset. Weapons like the underbarrel chainsaw would become even more visceral, and imagine having to physically take cover to dodge incoming fire. The Bethesda titles have been given that VR treatment in the past, Skyrim most notably, and could easily be done again to great effect. At this current time, Starfield is an obvious contender, and could have made that whole experience far more impressive. But even games like Fallout 76 and an official release of Fallout 4 would be great. Avowed that just came out, which is getting middling reviews, would, more likely than not, be stunning if given a proper VR mode. Hell, even crap titles like Redfall could be serviceable with a little bit of that VR magic. If Gran Turismo is any proof, then Forza and Forza Horizon would be crazy in VR. Horizon, especially with its over-the-top presentation and draw distances, would be epic in VR. Barreling down the side of a volcano as you drive into a sandstorm was already stunning on flat screen. In VR it would be on another level entirely. Now this next example is a newer addition to the Microsoft portfolio, but imagine if Call of Duty was incorporated into VR, allowing flat and immersed players to play in tandem, utilizing this juggernaut of a franchise as an accessible gateway into the wonders of VR. Now, I say all this not to bemoan the current state of VR, as if VR is dead, and Microsoft needs to step in and save the day. Quite the contrary. VR is kicking ass and has been kicking ass for a long time, and it would be more apt to say that VR is what could save Xbox, and really revitalize that platform as a brand that must be played. And Game Pass, which they push so heavily, if it was attached with a VR headset and their library of games, would sell like crazy to the VR community. And I'm also not saying this without acknowledging Sony's misstep in this department. Sony also has some dormant IPs that would be incredible in VR. Killzone is first and foremost in my mind, mainly because it's my favorite first-party franchise, but Resistance would probably be an even better fit. Resistance in VR would basically be Behemoth with guns. Days Gone is another game that would simply be epic in a headset, and it's a shame these ideas are just pipe dreams. Phil Spencer spoke candidly in an interview recently, removing any doubt and declaring that Microsoft would be a third-party publisher of sorts, putting most, if not all, of their titles onto other platforms. Imagine if they took it a step further and gave their legacy IPs the VR treatment, perhaps even dedicating a studio for the sole purpose of porting their current and future releases into VR. I don't expect any of this to happen, of course, but there's no denying that Doom: The Dark Ages would be sick in VR. Thanks for watching, and please feel free to let me know in the comments if you agree with me, or what Xbox franchise would be amazing in VR. Thank you again.
あいつがナイトホーク。あいつは俺に任せろ。